All right, good morning, Kota territory. Welcome to the first episode of Talks with Humberto Giles Sanchez here. I'm the host here, thankfully. I'm excited to start this series because I get to talk to multiple people around the community just about who they are, what they do, and if they have a nonprofit, let's talk about that nonprofit, kind of giving the community a little bit of insight into more community members and more things that they can support. Because as we mentioned on First Sip yesterday, giving back to the community and talking with your community members strengthens that community bond. But today we are talking about a very, very prominent community member, Dr. Lycia Thornburg, a board-certified dermatologist. First of all, don't forget that. That is why we call her doctor here. She also is our weekly, bi-weekly guest here every first and third Wednesday of the month on Good Morning Black Hills, talking about skincare and giving you recommendations on how you can be a little bit healthier with your skincare routines. But to start off, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing excellent. It's been a very hectic and busy morning here in the studio, but nothing that, kind of is very intimidating, I suppose. It's per usual.
Right.
But kind of talk a little bit about yourself. How long have you been here in the Black Hills? I mean, personally, I've only been here 4, so I'm fairly new, kind of. But no, how long have you been here?
So I've been here almost 22 years.
Oh my goodness.
Right,
And
so it feels like home.
Yeah, I was saying, I bet you can't get enough of it, huh?
It's so pretty, right? Driving up here today, I was just looking out on the beautiful, view you have from your parking lot, and it's just so special to live here.
Mm-hmm. No, and I mean, talking a little bit about some of that, kind of something that makes it special here is, how health conscious people are around the area.
They really are, yeah. They move here because they like the outdoors, they like hiking.
Yes.
They like enjoying the outside, and most of them now will incorporate sunscreen when they do it.
Yes, and I'm glad. And I hope that the message that we can kind of keep saying during almost every Skincare Wednesday segment on Good Morning Black Hills is wear sunscreen.
Right.
I mean, even during the winter, which is something that I didn't used to do. I personally, until I met you and started talking with you, I didn't do it.
Well, good. It's been worth it to come up here.
Yes,
good.
And I'll tell you right now, you've converted me. So
good.
I'm part of that sunscreen kind of user now as well. But talking a little bit about something that kind of makes you a very prominent name here around Kota territory and in the Black Hills.
Well, that's nice of you to say.
Trust me, I've heard a lot of good comments about you, and a lot of people go to you for skincare advice.
Well, I'm honored for that. Yeah.
And talking a little bit about that is your nonprofit, Made for Shade.
Right. So I was in my 30s, and I had just started being a physician a few years earlier, and I thought, I'm so blessed. I can't believe people are paying me to do this, because you go from this mindset of being a student where you're paying to learn and you're sort of paying to play, right? You're paying to go to med school and you're in debt, and then suddenly you get out and people are paying to come see you. And so I felt overly blessed, and I thought, what am I going to do with this feeling? I want to give back to my community. And I was looking in a magazine one night, and in the magazine, it was kind of during a long group meeting at the Rapid City Medical Center, and I was looking at an ad in the back, and it was for a nonprofit that provided shade for playgrounds and different activities, but it was started by a baseball gentleman who'd had melanoma, Kurt Schilling. But most of their grants were given to southern locations. And I thought, gosh, that'd be great to have that up here. I wonder if we could apply. And then I thought, I'll just start my own. Right. And so after the meeting, I went up to my partners, and it was Dr. Wittenberg, Dr. Finley, and Dr. Poling. And I was like, I have this idea. And they were like, okay, and what do you want? I'm like, I want some money. And they were like, okay, sure. That night said yes. And then the next week I started talking to friends of mine, and they were like, what do you want? I'm like, I need help. I need some of your time. So kind of like the perfect peanut butter and chocolate thing. I had people helping me. And then one of my very best friends, Lynn Riddle, they are from a multi-generational jewelry company, and they really believe in giving back to the community. And so she and I sort of just commandeered their marketing person and their copier, and we started making flyers, and it was really grassroots. And it was so small in the beginning. This year we sold out. And
you were telling me about that, which is really great, and it's really impressive because the amount of work that you have put in, from what you've been telling me.
18 years, right? Yes. Right. Well, so here's the thing. My phone was blowing up this week. They're like, what do you mean it was sold out? And these are some of the people that have come the entire time that didn't have tickets yet, and they were kind of used to, they could buy them at the door. I'm like, I have you on the cancel list. I'm so sorry. But it's sold out. And we even moved it outside under the big tent so we could expand the number of participants. And it's still sold out. We have the largest tent in the Black Hills that we've rented. And so anyway, it's a wonderful problem to have. But again, some of those people that have been with us from the beginning what did one of the friends say to me yesterday? I remember when you could hardly have enough people there to make it look full. I'm like, I know. So
how do you feel about that? I mean,
well, it's interesting. So it's been, it's anytime you have one of these things happen, there are people that get involved along the way that might say to you, yeah, I think it's run its course. And you have to decide, are you going to be someone who listens, or are you going to decide, no, I believe in this and I'm doing it. And there were some prominent people that said that to me along the way. And I was like, nope, I'll just put more of my own time, efforts, money, resources into it. I found like-minded people, and I brought them on to the committee. And then as we've had retirement of some of the physicians that were originally part of Made for Shade, we've added community members onto our board of directors that are really passionate. And so now I have some whippersnappers, I call them, on the board and the committee that have just made sure, like, this is not dying, and in fact, it's growing. And so, yeah, my board is amazing. Like Katie Slingsby, oh my gosh, she's my committee chair this year. She is, has more energy than I do for sure, and that's hard to say. And so she's been great. She's on my board as well as Maureen Gustafson, part of, Gustafson Builders, you think of that name.
Right.
She and I served on the board at Arrowhead together, and she is such a go-getter. And I was like, will you be on my board? Scott Hanna, he has a really successful car dealership in town, and I was like, I need a man's perspective. In fact, his wife is one of my dearest friends, and she was like, you need some men having input into your organization. So he's on the board.
Oh my goodness.
As well as Mariah Tellinghu's in, and Dr. Wittenberg and Dr. Poling. So we have a really amazing board. It's bigger than ever. The committee is bigger than ever. And our corporate sponsors grew by fourfold this year.
Well, I'll tell you right now, when I mentioned earlier when we started that this community likes to give back, you can tell that this community loves to give back and work together to make things better in general. But, talking a little bit about this advancement and all of this kind of momentum behind your mission already, especially this year. Before we actually get into that, if you have any questions at home, feel free to comment, ask away. We're here, Dr. Lycia Thornburg, we will try to answer any questions that you have regarding the topic about her nonprofit as well. But if you are interested, feel free to go for it. Ask away. We're here. We're open. I have the comments here. Just go for it. Trust us, we will try our best.
We will answer you.
Yes,
but kind of best.
Yes, exactly. And talk a little bit about that a little bit more about kind of the sponsors. You said that first of all, let's go back to kind of something you touched on. It's packed.
Yes,
it is packed, sold out. How many sponsors do you have? And also, when we're mentioning packed, how much are we talking about packed?
So over 250 people, and I mean, the sponsors at the $10,000 level, which we didn't even have a $10,000 level until recently, are, of course, my partners at the Skin Institute, thank you, and Riddle's Jewelry. They have been with us from the beginning. Let's just talk about that for a minute. This year, not only are they giving away a jewelry item, they are giving away 2 pairs of jewelry items, plus a surprise men's gift.
Oh my goodness.
So 5 items are being raffled off this year with the raffles. And my daughters walk around with the raffle tickets, and everybody they have long arms, they're very tall young women, and so everybody wants the arm stretch so they can win. So that's exciting. And then Allergan Aesthetics, they have come through for us this year in a year where the economy's been difficult, and they gave us $10,000, so we're so grateful.
And I mean, kind of knowing that you have this, not only the support from a lot of community members, but also kind of the bigger names, right? What is your kind of end goal for this?
Well, we would like to not only have the Black Hills area, but continue to, our catchment area for patients is quite far. People drive several hours to see us. I have patients who'll drive 4 hours, and we'd love to continue to come into their neighborhoods and help them with shade structures. And I know they watch your show, and so we'd love to continue to grow. We've gone into Spearfish area as well with our donations.
And kind of just to mention, because I believe we might have kind of skipped over it, but the most important part, I mean, if some of our viewers aren't really aware of what exactly Made for Shade does, I mean, can you give us a little summary behind it?
Right. So we educate about skin cancer. So when we give a grant, we teach the schools about the skin cancer, but we provide shade structures and plant trees and other shelters from the sun. So it's amazing.
I know, and we mentioned a little bit about, kind of the importance of kind of protecting yourself from those UV rays and kind of protecting yourself from the sun. But it can also be helpful as well. But I mean, why exactly do we need these structures?
Well, one of the structures last year was out at the soccer fields, and they're so wonderful, out there past Waikiki, but there's not a lot of windbreak, and those kids are out there for hours, and so are the parents. And so we had a request from their soccer organization to have these structures the kids could sit within that are not only a UV protection, but also from the wind. And so that was amazing. Those are going to be used this year. And I think they have a grant in for trees. We'll see if they get that this year. Stay tuned for next week.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
And I mean, you're working a lot of this about kind of helping out the community, stay a little bit more aware of, kind of getting some shade, especially during the one of my favorite time of the year, summer, right?
Right.
You get out hiking.
Feels good to be out.
Yes. But why is this kind of important? Not only for the kids, but also for the adults.
Skin cancer is the most common of all cancers, so that's why it's important. And it's important to teach children while they're young, and sunburns in childhood are more dangerous than later, so that's important as well. One person dies every minute from melanoma in this country, and so it's really important to educate and spread the word. A lot of times I'll hear people say, oh, I want to get my vitamin D. And you get enough vitamin D within 5 to 10 minutes of being outside with sunscreen, depending on your skin type and the time of year. So you plateau after a while of being outside with your vitamin D, and then you start to lose it. So there's just this misconception and myths, and we can talk about that on a different segment.
We'll definitely have to have you back on.
Yeah, but I think it's important to realize, like, wear your sunscreen, even visible light. It's important to protect from all of that because that can cause skin cancer.
Right, and it's, man, I wish we can get into that because that is a very, it's very prominent. You hear talks about it too, especially in national news, not just in your local community, but everywhere.
Right.
Especially because the sun is there. It's everywhere and it touches every
And we just
part.
want safe play, right? We want these kids. You look at some of the larger cities, they have shade structures over all their schools, and now we have it at Corral. If you've driven by, it's lovely shade structures provided by Made for Shade. Down at the tennis courts, we've helped to provide shade structures there that, are just so needed and utilized. And all of the high schools now have had grants, so they have these pop-up tents when they have soccer games or other school gatherings. So it's just been really great to see it grow, and we're educating for safe play.
And we're talking about the Made for Shade, and going back to that community involvement aspect of it. How can our viewers get involved if they are interested?
Well, think about this. So I want to say Monument, for the first year ever, they're involved. Thank you. This is lovely. Coca-Cola came through as a major sponsor this year. Black Hills Pediatric Dentistry, Black Hills Pediatrics with Dr. Maggie Healer, First Interstate Bank, Gustafson Builders, Quality Roofers, Partridge, South Dakota Overhead Doors, Rushmore Compounding, Seacrest, Quality Roofing and Construction, the Rapid City Medical Center, U.S. Bank, Western Construction, Wealth Management. And beyond that, lots of places gave us like $1,000, like Sanford did. And I know that many other places did as well. And so they just got involved with a donation. MadeForShadeSD.com. You can donate as well. You can join our committee next year. We'd love to have the involvement. Buy a table. Give a donation. We have so many donations.
And it's MadeForShadeSD.com.
Yes.
In case you are interested in kind of looking that up.
Yes, we would appreciate
and
it.
Hopefully you are, because this, first of all, the project itself is something that personally I wish I had when I was younger, because I remember being a little kid and running around, and I would have loved to actually get some of that shade in.
Right,
instead
when
of
it's
having
so hot.
Yes, instead of having to stand around. But, that joys of being a little kid, at least for me, right?
Right.
Kind of trying to play soccer out there. But talking a little bit more about kind of how the community has reacted. What are some of the comments you've heard from these structures, or just from some of the community members who have used these structures?
Well, I think the truth is in the growth of the sponsorship, right? When we first started, it was just a few logos on those banners, and now we've had to, our step and repeat that we'll take pictures in front of next week has had to be larger and larger because so many more people want involved. And I think what our organization has done really well is we've let everybody own it, right? So people have become a part of it, and they feel appreciated because they are, and they're part of Made for Shade. I mean, it's bigger than one person. It's everyone. It's owned by so many people. They feel ownership.
Hey, pardon me. Oh my goodness. But you know, yeah, like you said, it's made for the community, by the community, kind of being pushed forward. That momentum, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, is being pushed by those community members that are important.
We talked about the silent auction donations, and Umberto was like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "Nope."
Look at that. 2 whole pages. Plus a little bit of the back of the second one, which is insane to me.
Right.
Especially when
3.5 pages, actually.
3, yes.
And there's over $20,000 worth of cosmetic donations from my generous partners at the Rapid City Medical Center Skin Institute.
Yes.
And Allergan not only has donated $10,000 in cash, they have donated all of the items like Botox and filler for us to use, as well as there are Diamond Glow and Skin Medica skin baskets, Revision. But then there's some really fun stuff. Can we talk about the silent auctions?
Let's go for it.
All right. So there is an opportunity to have a dinner at Brett Esses's barn. Last year it was a wild game feed. Right. And you can go onto our social media and look at it, and I think they had a lot of fun. And this year it's fresh fish from Key West that they've caught, and it's for about 6 couples, and it's going to prove to be one of the hottest items again this year bid on.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm hearing that. What else is there?
A fire truck. So you can bid on a fire truck with firemen coming to your business, your home, your child's party with donuts, and wouldn't that be fun to have?
That would be really fun, actually. But you know, talking about so we're talking about these, you know, this auction funds. Where do they go?
They go back to the organization, and so we used to give away $5,000, $7,000, $10,000. This year we'll be handing out over $50,000 in grants, and that's large.
And where do those grants go? I mean,
well, I think KOTA is going to have the scoop next week where they're going to go. You'll find out on the day of Made for Shade.
All right. Well, you're going to have to tune in for that as well. Kind of keep this story momentum going as well. So check on our website for those updates when we get them. But kind of a little bit more on the Made for Shade aspect of it. You know, we're hearing a lot of community involvement, right?
Yes.
And we're hearing a lot of, you know, health involvement, health for the youth. Now, let's talk a little bit about kind of the organization and your end goal regarding the organization.
Well, I don't want it to end.
Well, of course.
Perpetuity,
no one wants
Future
it to
generations.
end. Yeah, but like as you continue with this organization,
Growth.
How do you want it to evolve?
Yes. So it's going to continue to grow, and what that looks like is input from our board. I mean, this year I couldn't have imagined some of the ideas that came out of the board and the committee, and I think continuing to get new blood in there, it just has made us grow, and we are partnering, it will be announced next week, but we are partnering with another large nonprofit, and it's going to be an amazing story when you hear about it next week, what we're doing to help the community. So it's going to continue to grow because there are funds to share.
Right. And I'm excited to see where it ends up and kind of where it keeps going, just because it is something, you know, it is Western South Dakota. The idea came from the South, but this nonprofit.
From little old South Dakota in the middle of nowhere, we have great ideas, don't we, out here?
Quotation marks.
Yes.
Middle of nowhere in quotation marks. I feel like, you know, that's kind of going off of that a little bit. I'm a little tangent here. I feel like that might be a big, you know, something that needs to not happen or not be said a lot more often. You know, middle of nowhere. Just because I feel like you get so many ideas that start off here and go nationwide, and they're like, oh, where was it started? They would think, oh, it started in Chicago.
Yeah, the Harvard Sanford model, Harvard Yankton model for medical schools started at USD.
Yes.
And Yankton, and then Harvard learned about it and said, could we partner with you?
Yeah.
Their name went first because of recognition, but it started at our med school. The dean told that story to us at one of the Black Hills medical meetings, but I'm just so proud of our state. And you know, we are the geographical center of the United States up in Belle Fourche. But we have a lot of great ideas and innovation coming out of South Dakota.
And this is one of the many great innovative things coming out of Western South Dakota when it comes to, skincare, in the world of skincare and skin health. And, kind of as we start to wrap
I
up.
was on an administrative board, an advisory board last weekend, and it was, there were 10 consultants nationwide, and, Yale-trained dermatologist, famous dermatologist from San Diego, and then I looked at my name, Rapid City, South Dakota. And so again, thinking about how, we're making a name for ourselves, we're sharing good information, we have good science behind our ideas.
Yes.
Let me tell you a little bit more about some silent auction items.
Yes, I was going to say, we have like about time for like maybe 3 questions here. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that, and then we got 2 more questions to go.
Great. There is a Minnesota Vikings Thanksgiving, our preseason game being auctioned off. There is a Thanksgiving Day Detroit Lions versus the Packers game in a private club box, private entrance, food, wine, all the trimmings, a hotel the night before where the opposing players stay being auctioned off. That's a big item. There's a guitar signed by Taylor Swift and other pop stars that'll be auctioned off.
Another big item right there.
Yes. And there's a dinner with Tony Belay. So it's take a trip to Italy without a passport. He'll teach you how to make pizza in a pizza oven. Wine is provided. And, he's so talented. Speaking of South Dakota, Western South Dakota, he goes to all these barbecue contests and wins. So I'm pretty excited about our items this year.
Yeah, I'm honestly, at least from what you were telling me beforehand, it sounds like it's a very good list of things that are being auctioned off, and a really cool, exciting time in general. But for my second question here, before second question as we start to wrap up here.
Okay.
We're talking about kind of going back to the nonprofit aspect of of Made for Shade. Where is it just Rapid City that is kind of having these tents made, or is it all around the Black Hills?
As far as the high schools that have applied, it's the Rapid City high schools all the way out to Douglas. We have done grants up in Spearfish for one of their parks. We've given some grants to Eastern Wyoming.
Okay.
As well. And it's because of one of their, up in Upton, there's some really passionate people about melanoma prevention that have applied for grants and come and participated. So we've been spreading to those areas.
And can schools apply through the website, or who do they call?
Yes, the deadline is now passed for this year, but when it does open, get your grants in on our website, madeforshadeSD.com.
Perfect.
And we do work through the local school superintendent here as well, but you can apply there.
And is it just schools who can apply? Can it be other?
No, good question. So the YMCA has gotten grants from us, YFS, the soccer clubs, nonprofit daycare applied last year, yes.
So it's everyone who's interested in this can apply.
And at first preference are given to permanent shade structures, but we then go down in preference for pop-up tents and trees. We planted hundreds of trees.
Perfect. And kind of as for the final question here from me, and then before we say goodbye, unfortunately, right? I hate that we're on the time limit, but final question here. What's kind of a message you have for some of the community members as they kind of start to look into this nonprofit, and as they kind of start to get into the world of kind of skincare health? What's kind of a message you would like to leave them with?
Well, you can always check the AAD.org for advice about preventing skin cancer. But as far as Made for Shade, we would love for you to become involved. This is an organization for the community, made up of members from the community. And the more the merrier. Come join us every year for our event.
Excellent. And if some of our viewers are interested in learning more about you and kind of your practice and stuff like that, where can they go?
Right. I'm a part of the Rapid City Medical Center Skin Institute, and my social media is Lycia Thornburg, MD. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I'm happy to share information about preventing skin cancer.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for joining us here on Kota Talks. Our first episode and our debut. It was very exciting to talk.
Thanks for having me. That's exciting.
Thank you for participating. I always love talking again to community members. It's always a fun time learning all about what they do, their mission, just the way that they think. Because everyone has a brilliant idea, and everyone plays a critical role.
And then executing is so important, right?
Yes.
So don't prevent yourself from executing on your ideas.
Exactly.
And holding fast when people tell you you can't do it. You can.
Exactly. Well, thank you again, and thank you most of all for joining us here this morning. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday and enjoy the weekend. We'll see you right back here again next month.